have to protect our voting system.
That's
One
right.
of the pieces of legislation I've been working with John Lewis for the past decade is the Voter Empowerment Act. It takes every aspect of our voting rights and makes sure that our voices can be heard. It makes sure voters cannot be disenfranchised based on where they live. It makes sure that people can register to vote online. It makes sure that there's a paper receipt to every ballot. It makes sure that our voices cannot be taken away from us. So I hope every single one of you will support the work we are doing, the support that Stacey Abrams is doing to ensure our voting rights are protected. If we fight for these goals, we will have a stronger and better country. We will be able to assure that no voice is left unheard, and we will be able to meet the challenges of today. So let us take this time of challenge and controversy to stand on the right side of history, to rise up against the hatred and division we see in our own communities, to lift up the voices of those who are not being heard and are not being listened to fight for unity throughout our communities and throughout our state. The time is now to fight for justice. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you New York City's public advocate, Jumaane Williams. He's passed landmark legislation already in the City Council, including the Fire Chance Act to combat employment discrimination. A man who's doing the work, Jumaane.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hello.
Okay, day. I want to thank Bam and the bar president. My mom is somewhere here. Patricia Williams is sitting. Oh, where is she? Over there. All right. She didn't want to be shouted out, but my mom is over there. Thank you, everyone, for giving me an opportunity to reflect on life and legacy of Dr. King, personal hero of mine who was often deliberately misunderstood, mischaracterized, and sanitized. I do want to say thank you, everyone who voted for me last year.
Yeah! Good job, man. Good job.
Since I was young, I always admired Dr. King. He was one of my many heroes, along with Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, and Malcolm X.
That's right.
I admired the way he stood up for people, non-violently, which takes even more strength. Realizing where he was, recognizing his situation, and how to use that to his advantage. Sustaining that strength, taking strength from the Most High, the lessons from the Bible. It is incredibly disturbing to see that Dr. King's legacy is sanitized and misrepresented. Dr. King was an extraordinary leader who opposed violence, but that doesn't mean he was consigned to be docile. That doesn't mean he wanted things simply to be peaceful.
That's right.
He was a disruptor. He was a righteous agitator. He was a moral revolution. He was a revolutionary. He was a rabble-robber. Those who don't believe in the cause attack the tactics. There are people who want to change, but they don't want the work. They celebrate the work of others, but not how they got it done. They may recall the words, but neither the meaning nor the context. They remember the dream, but not the fight to make the dream a reality.
That's
or
right.
that Dr. King said he was worried if the dream had turned into a nightmare, or if it integrated into a burning house. Not the fact that those dreams are often born inside of a jail cell. People use this misrepresentation to attack modern day acts of protest and dissent. Dr. King refused to condemn any protest and the young people taking over the streets during that day. Don't let them make you pick Malcolm X and Dr. King. They were both and they broke or murdered violently because they tried to tell you that it is the manner how you protest. But the problem the powers that be have is the fact that you protest wrong. Every generation looks back on the previous generation with a different set of eyes. They believe that if they were there, they'd have the fortitude to stand with the movement. But right now, we need the strength of that movement. The legacy is to keep that moral fortitude, keep the focus. We are in a movement right now. History is going to look back at us and ask you, where were you and what did you do when there were children in cages? Where were you and what did you do when trans black women were being murdered with impunity? Where were you and what did you do when the things that Dr. King fought for all human beings and especially the black community that has still not lived up to the American dream? Where were you and what did you do when there was a bigot who's only missing a hood in the White House? Where were you and what did you do when you remembered it wasn't just that one bigot, but an entire party and people who continue to support him? Where were you and what did you do when you remembered after we got out of this darkness? Because there will be casualties, we'll get to the other side. But the lesson, did you remember that it wasn't just the Republican parties? There are Democrats across this nation who have led cities and led states and still have the problems we have. We supposedly live in a progressive city, yet we have the most segregated school system in the entire nation. So let's not get it twisted. We must make sure everyone is held accountable. I'm a Democrat. Now, recent events of the last few weeks that saw hateful anti-Semitic attacks in our city and our state were a reminder that human condition is an ever work in progress. That's right. It is in moments like these that our society must commit to work even harder to find common ground and provide a space for healing and honest conversation. In the Daily News, I talked today about James Chaney, Michael Schwerner, and Andrew Woodman. 3 civil rights workers, 1 black and 2 Jewish men, brutally murdered by members of the Ku Klux Klan in Philadelphia, Mississippi on the night of June 21st, 1964. Their death helped spark the passage of the 1964 Voting Rights Act. This points to the historic reality that the two communities have worked together to address societal ills. That we must raise our collective voices together, not only to condemn instances of anti-Semitism and racism and create meaningful platforms to have dialogue to address the underlying causes of these incidents. We can and we must lift up anti-Semitism, and we must continue to lift up racism and all bigotry. And I have to tell you here, we will not let the acts of anti-Semitism, we will not let the acts of Semitism be pitted against black and brown bodies in jail and bail reform. Those two things will not be confused, and they are separate conversations. We can have them both at the same time. This week, as we celebrate the memory and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, the revolutionary Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I would like to ask all of my New Yorkers, my fellow New Yorkers, to look beyond the slogans, look beyond the euphemisms. As Dr. King said, let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a great determination. And let us move on these powerful days, these days of challenge to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation. Peace and blessings. Thank you.
Raised in East New York and Williamsburg, Eric Gonzalez made history in November 2017 when he became the first Latino district attorney elected in New York State. He has implemented his own trailblazing initiatives, including bail reform, a young adult court, and a policy to reduce unfair immigration consequences in criminal cases. Please welcome our district attorney, Eric Gonzalez.
Good morning, Brooklyn.
Good morning.
It's an honor for me to be here to speak to all of you at BAM. It means a lot to me to be here as we talk about the legacy of Dr. King. And each year we set aside a sacred January Monday to honor and celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now we best remember Dr. King for fighting to tear down Jim Crow in the American South. But there is nowhere in our country where his vision and the lessons that we learned from his life are not relevant. That is especially true right here in Brooklyn. As your Brooklyn District Attorney, I vow to stand make sure that every community has safety. But I also stand to make sure that our criminal justice system treats every community fairly, regardless of race, regardless of religion or sexual identification, or even your income. Our justice system has to work for each and every one of us. Now, the challenges that Dr. King confronted were different than the challenges we have today. But let's be clear, the borough president mentioned this. African American children and teens are 14 times more likely to die from gun violence. Across America, gross racial disparities, including mass incarceration, still haunt every aspect of our criminal justice system, from arrest to prosecution to conviction to length of sentence. This is unacceptable in 2020, as unacceptable as segregated lunch counters were 60 years ago. In Brooklyn, we're working to make a fairer justice system and to keep our families safe. Safety matters. More than a year ago, my office started to reduce our reliance on cash bail. As a result, hundreds of people would have gone to Rikers Island, not because they posed a public safety threat, but because they were poor or allowed to stay with their families. We're also diverting hundreds of people out of our criminal justice system who've been arrested and giving them services that deal with underlying health issues, whether it's addiction, mental health treatment, or other social services. These are people that we can help and keep our community safe by not incarcerating them. And we're doing all of this in Brooklyn while keeping our community safer than they've ever been. Now, this is something that you may not hear in the papers, but since 2016, not ancient history, since 2016, murders in Brooklyn have been reduced by 1/3. And I think that everyone in this room at BAM today understands what that means. Virtually every life that we've saved in Brooklyn has been a Black or Latino life. At my office, we are determined to make sure that we have fundamental fairness and safety in Brooklyn. We can't turn back to failed policies like stop and frisk, and we won't surrender to those who urge us wholesale retreat. Fairness and safety go hand in hand. Now, Dr. King recognized that wait has almost always meant never. I agree. There comes a time when the cup of endurance runs over and men and women are no longer willing to be plunged into the abyss of despair. Dr. King said that. We won't wait and we won't be deterred in the pursuit of justice here in Brooklyn. I ask for your guidance and your support as we continue working for safety anchored in fairness. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.